This is a real-time, live trading system here, as opposed to trading when the bar closes, right? So you can trade intra-bar while the bar is building, or your system can trade when the bar closes, waits for the bar to close. Right? So this also is designed to run on daily bars here, right? So this is more of a larger, a daily kind of stock market system here, I guess. Let's see here. So the setups are pretty simple here. So we can see that for a long setup that we want to compare the current day's opening price to the previous day's low price. So if the current day opens lower than yesterday's low, then that is the setup, and basically that is the signal to put a entry order on, to place an entry order, right? And so the entry down here is actually the instructions for submitting the entry order, right? So for a long trade, a buy stop is going to be placed at the low price, at yesterday's low price, right? So as far as BloodHound's entry signals, right, the setup here is the entry signal instructions. So it's pretty darn simple. This is going to be a real quick, easy answer here. But we'll get into some other aspects of this, right? So even though the mechanics is simple, there's other elements around, getting this to work properly within the NinjaTrader platform, right? Yeah, so simple enough. If the current day open is below yesterday's low, then that's going to generate a signal within BloodHound, right? So, all right, I have 60-minute bars on here, just so I kind of have more bars to kind of work with here. So, but the first thing you need to do, though, is make sure that you get your chart set up correctly for this. So another component of this that was a part of the email, so it wasn't actually a part of these instructions here, but another component is that, this is supposed to run on a daily bar, but it's supposed to run on the RTH of the daily bars, right? So in other words, you can't just simply say, okay, let's load up a one day chart, right? Because these bars are 24-hour bars, but the system is designed to run on regular trading hours, daily bars, not 24 hours. So that's another element to make sure that your chart, is set up correctly for regular trading hour daily bars, right? So I'm just going to take the easy way out, the quick way out, and just, actually, no, what the heck. I might as well go and set this up here real quick. So let's put this on minute and 114.40, and then change our, let's get this out of the way. And select the correct trading hours. And let's see, we're also going to need a bunch of bars. So let's put 1,000 bars on there. And that should be good enough. All right. So there we go. We have daily bars of the regular trading hours. And there we go. All right. So actually, this is probably better here because we can see that there's lots of gaps in between these bars, so that ought to give us a lot more signals once we start building. Once we start building the BloodHound signal. So, all right, the next thing that we need to do. Well, this isn't really so important in BloodHound, but if you want to see the signals properly in BloodHound, then we do need to set BloodHound up so that it operates in real time or intra-bar, right? So we're going to set the calculate mode to on price change. And so this is how you get your indicators to function in real time, or in other words, function on the bar that's building there. So, all right. So we got our calculate mode changed. And but really, let's pull this up. Really, this is a two-part question here, right? So the first part is building the signals or the setup within BloodHound. And then the second part is going to be tomorrow's Blackbird workshop. So with tomorrow's Blackbird workshop, we can build the rest of the instructions here, which is placing the entry order, right? Placing that stop entry order here at yesterday's low price or high price. And of course, and then there's also, right, some exits, two different exit rules here. And actually there's a third exit rule that's not a part of these instructions, but there is a third other alternate exit rule that we're going to build tomorrow as well. Right? So really, since the entire scope of this question is to actually place a trade or place orders, right? So really Blackbird is what needs to run with the mode or calculate mode set to, and let's pull this up here, right? So really it's the strategy that needs to have the calculate mode set to on price change, right? So, but if you're wanting to test your BloodHound signals and actually kind of run them live and test it at the market open, as the market opens, to test it, to see if you're getting your signals correctly, then you will need to have BloodHound set to have BloodHound's calculate set to on price change. All right. So next, let's get BloodHound open. Let's switch over to the logic tab here, and we can start working on the logic board. And let's create a new logic template. And let's see, what should we call this? The Larry Williams OOPS trade. Something like that. OOPS trade. So I don't know what OOPS stands for, but that's apparently what this is called. All right, well, pull up the setup rules. Pretty darn simple. Compare the open price, right, of the current bar to the low of the previous bar, or compare the open to the high of the previous bar. So that's simply just one comparison solver here. And it's going to be a comparison solver there. So let's connect that in, and let's give this a name here. All right, so open with a index of 0 is going to be the current bar. All right, so this basically is a little programming term here with the bracket, 0 bracket. That just means the open price of the current bar. And then we're going to compare that to the low or high of 1 bar back. So that's going to be a bracketed 1, meaning 1 bar back, 1 bar ago. And that's basically kind of NinjaTrader's programming terminology here. All right, so next we just need to put the open price in and then the high and low prices. So input A, that's going to be the open price. And so we're going to set the type to price, and then set our prices to the open price, like so, right? And then next, the input B is also price, right? Now, for a long trade, we're using the low of the bar, right? So if we go back to the instructions here, right? So for a long trade signal, right, we're comparing the open, as it says right up here, comparing the open to the low price. So going back here, so for a long signal here, we want to use the low price. And then for a short signal, it's going to be the opposite price, right? So we'll set it to the high. There we go. And this needs to be the previous bar. So we're actually going to set the look back period to 2, right? To 2, right? And then next, we just need to make sure our output is set up correctly here. So right now we can see by default for a long output or a long signal, right? This says A greater than B. Well, is A, the open price, supposed to be greater than the low price? No, it's not. The open is supposed to be below or less than. So we need to reverse the outputs like so. Right? And 99.9% of the time, if you need to reverse the long outputs, then you need to reverse the short outputs. And so that is true in this case as well. Like so. All right, so now we actually have something here to work with. So if we stretch this out, and let's take a look. Yeah, so if we look at this, right, the low is way up here, right, and the open, we can see, is down there, right? So the open is below the low of the previous bar, and there's a long signal. And let's see, yeah, there we go. And same thing here. The there we go. Sorry. So here's the open, and it is above the high of the previous bar. So there we go. Right. Yeah. So we can see basically, yeah, this kind of simple kind of comparison here generates a lot of signals there. So, and there we have it. So that's basically simply it. That's it in a nutshell. It's just one solver, comparing the open to the low or the high of the bar. Now, I mentioned that, we would also kind of discuss some other aspects, to be mindful of. So let's see, that's a short. Yeah. So here's a good example. So here's a good example. So, right, we can see that this, keep in mind that this is a real-time trading system, right? So, what that means is that when today's markets opened, right? So today's markets, right, opened up here. So when today's markets opened, that is when the trade was supposed to be entered, right? So again, going back to this system here, right? Obviously, when the market opens, you make your comparison, and then if you have a setup, then you place your entry order, right? So, right. So, but we can see though that historically we still have all of these signals here, right? So that makes it easy for us to kind of look back historically and see what was going on. But think about what is happening in real time. So let's go back to this bar here, right? So we have a really long bar here. So this kind of sets up a good example of some situations that could happen in real time. So we have the open up here, and it's above the high, right? So we have a signal. So, one of the things that we don't see with these system rules is there is no profit target here, right? There is no profit target mentioned, and Gunther doesn't mention a profit target either. It's really just these exiting rules here, right? But let's just say, for the sake of discussion here, that you are using a profit target, within this system here. So within Blackbird, right? Again, Bloodhound's not going to trade. Bloodhound doesn't place trades. But, if you're using this with Raven and or Blackbird, right, and you put a profit target in, well, let's just say, we set a profit target down there, and I'll just make it a nice pretty color here. Let's see, yeah, there we go. All right, so we have a profit target down here, right? Well, we can see, right, that, and of course, what the heck, our entry signal, right, is going to be right there, right? That's our entry, our entry order is right there, right? So there's our entry order. Obviously, as the day opened, price comes down, fills our entry order, and then price keeps coming down, right? We can see that throughout the day, price kept coming down, and it would hit that profit target, So obviously, if our profit target's anywhere inside here, right, our profit target gets hit. And so now the strategy is flat, right? So your profit's hit, and so Blackbird and or Raven is flat. So what's going to happen is, right, the way these signals are built is that there's still a signal the entire day. So whatever time of day our profit target gets hit, so let's just say it gets hit at, 11:30 a.m. in the morning, right? Eastern time, right? So it'd be market time. Well, right after that, as soon as that profit target gets hit, Raven and Blackbird are going to see that they are flat. But they also see that Bloodhound is still generating an entry signal. So the strategy is then going to try and place another entry order, up here, up on top, right? So once Blackbird is programmed, actually, this has to be done in Blackbird only. So if you want to place a stop entry order, at a specific price, that has to be done with Blackbird, not Raven. Raven won't do that. So we'll just talk in terms of the Blackbird strategy, and just in case nobody's familiar with Blackbird, if you open up your strategies window, you can see that Shark Indicator has a Raven strategy, which is a really simple, basic, a simplistic strategy here that's kind of really good just to give you a baseline backtesting results. It can be used for really simple trading systems, but Blackbird is the more robust trading strategy here, right? So that's what we're talking about is Blackbird here to actually place the entry orders and also manage the stop losses and or profit targets if you're using them. All right, so that's what we're talking about is this Blackbird strategy here. So again, back to where we're at here, right? Price comes down throughout the day, hits the profit target. Blackbird is then flat, and then Blackbird will see that Bloodhound is still providing an entry signal. So Blackbird is going to try and place an entry order up here, right? Or a stop entry order above the market, right? Which is not allowed, right? You're not allowed to put a stop entry order, or at least a short stop entry order above the market, right? This needs to become a limit order. So, so what's going to happen is, Blackbird's going to do what it's told, and that's going to create a bunch of invalid trade, error messages. So what you're going to do is, for the entire rest of the day, you're going to see a bunch of error messages, and NinjaTrader is going to pop up, a bunch of windows telling you that you're trying to place an invalid trade, or you're trying to place an invalid entry order. right? So, so that is kind of basically a major key point, number one, to understand, right? So, especially if you're trading daily bars, right? So if you're going to use a profit target, you have to basically control your entry signals. And let's see here. There's a couple of ways that we could do this. Blackbird itself actually kind of has a way. Blackbird does have a way within it to only allow entry orders to be placed during a certain time period, right? So we could tell Blackbird, all right, you're only allowed to place an entry order in the morning time, like in the first 5 minutes of the morning or something like that, right? So that's one way to kind of take care of this issue of entry orders being placed halfway through the day. Or the other way is we could basically control our entry signals better. So what I could do is I could say, or I can take another solver and which will prevent or isolate entry signals to only show up within the first couple of minutes when the market opens. So then let's walk through doing that. So what I'm going to use is a threshold solver to do this. And because this is on daily bars, there's no way that I can actually demonstrate this. We're not going to be able to see this on the chart because we're using daily bars here. But we'll just walk through the process of setting up. Basically, this threshold solver is going to become a time filter, right? So it's going to filter the entry signals so that they only show up within the first couple of minutes when the market opens, right? So obviously, we're a couple of hours after the market is opened, so we're not going to see anything historically. But just to go through the process here. So let's see, what should we call this? There we go, something like that. So this is a market opening time filter. So yeah, something like that. And so so in order to kind of create this time filter, we need a customized indicator to do this. And we just happen to have one that comes with Shark indicators to do this. So, right. So what we're going to use is the time block indicator, right? So this time block indicator allows you to specify a unique or a specific block of time throughout the day. So this is, this time block is designed to basically work kind of like on a daily basis here. So we can see there's a begin time and a end time. And then also there's days of the week, right? So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? So we can turn on and off days of the week that we want this time block indicator to give us basically a signal or an indication here. So, so the begin time here is, let's see here. Yeah, the begin time is already set up for the market open on Eastern time, right? So this is set up for Eastern time. And so let's just give this, how about if we do, I guess if we really wanted to be, as exact as possible, what we could do is set this for 2 seconds earlier, right? So I set this so that, 2 seconds before the the regular trading hours opens. And then I will set the next, oops, what happened here? Get that semicolon back in there. There we go. And then, there we go. And then I'll just set the end time for, I don't know, a minute later, right? So that should be plenty of time, a whole minute, you know, for Blackbird to place an entry order, you know, and I seriously doubt that you're going to get your profit target filled within the first minute of the market open, right? Very unlikely here. So, right, so basically what I did is I created a 1 minute window, right, filter here for the logic to generate a signal here, right? And let's see here. We don't want a signal on Sunday, so we'll turn that off. Although the markets don't open right at 9 in the morning on Sundays anyway, so that's kind of a mute point there. But what the heck, we'll turn it off anyways. You know, and also maybe with this Larry Williams system, maybe you're not supposed to trade on Fridays either. You know, maybe you're not supposed to hold a position over the weekend. You know, so if we wanted to, we could turn Friday off as well. So basically, there would be no entry signal on a Friday. You know, so there we go. All right, and then so now that we have our beginning time and our end time, you know, basically this 1 minute window when the market opens, and again, this time here that you set is based off of your computer time, right? So if your computer time is not Eastern time, then you need to adjust the time here, right? So for example, I'm on Mountain Time. So my computer is set up for Mountain Time. So I would need to adjust this to my computer time. So for me, the market's actually open at 7 in the morning Mountain Time. So I would need to adjust it like that. But I'm just going to keep it to Eastern time here. So, and then the next thing is we need to figure out which of these outputs do we want to use. Which one, you know, is for us do we need here? And what we need is between times, right? So we need to allow an entry signal between the start time and the end time. Right, so in between that 1 minute window is when we want to allow an entry signal through. So we're going to use the between times, right, between the beginning time and between the end time. And that's it, right? Click OK. And then the next step would be to use not an additive, but a AND node, right? So here's our, you know, the entry signals. Put it in there. And this would be a filter here. Right, so again, let's take a look, right? So here's all the signals. We can see them all historically. But if we put this time filter in, right, obviously they're all going to disappear because we're not looking, you know, or the chart, you know, is not showing us the real-time signal between, you know, at 9:30 in the morning. So, you know, even if we go to today's bar here, right? So this is today's market. So yeah, we're in a bit of a down day today, but again, we're also at a high point. You know, we're near the highs of the market here. So yeah, a bit of a profit taking day, but also, you know, it's not the first minute of the market open. So again, we're not going to see an entry signal, and that's the whole point, right? Is we want you know, the whole point of adding this time filter here is to make sure that the entry signals only show up that first minute when the market opens, right? So that way, That way, again, the whole point of this was that if you are using a profit target, you don't want to place additional entry signals if your profit target gets hit during the day, right? So going back to this one day here, if we did get into a trade here, right? So our sell stop was filled, market comes way down, hits the profit target, and we're done. Basically, Blackbird will be done for the day, right? Blackbird, as we can see, Blackbird doesn't see any more entry signals. So it's not going to try and place, more, entry orders way up here at the top of the market anymore. Right? So, so this is another mechanism that might be necessary on these types of kind of daily, real-time daily trading systems here. Keep those in mind. So, let's see. What else to keep in mind here? Let's see. I already mentioned the other point. I think I just had 2 points really in mind. One was being mindful of profit targets getting hit, and the other one I already kind of quickly went over earlier, which is making sure that your chart is showing you the correct bars that you want. So in this case, Gunther wanted daily bars, but only during market trading hours, right? Or RTH, regular trading hours, right? And so again, Ninja's suggestion, if you want daily bars only during RTH, then you have to use a minute bar, right? And you have to put a 24-hour minute bar, and then you filter it using the trading hours. So I'm using the RTH trading hours session, and so that reduces the bars down to the RTH, regular trading hours. So, okay, that basically does it for today. So that's really, that's all there is to it for the entry signal part of this two-part question, right? So that is the setup part, and then in tomorrow's Blackbird workshop, we'll then finish setting this up, and we'll create the entry orders, and then also create the 3 different types of exit strategies here, exit orders.